Oh, we did go live. It took a long time for
didn't
the
it?
go live. It took a long time for that
It took
to
so
go
long,
live.
so long that we're just about to finish. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next week.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, dear viewer. First of all, I said it earlier when we were getting ready to chat. A very cool thing has occurred. And I've not got which one. Oh, there we are. This one. There we go. A thing that did not exist, disappeared, couldn't get hold of. Ian's finally got a hold of it. Now it says bugger all, really, but because it's been heavily redacted, etc., etc. But you've got to remember, dear viewer, if you've been following along at home, that this document was said not to exist, and persistence has paid off. Why do you think they bent the knee and let you have this document, Ian?
Well, I mean, at the moment, there's the ICO caseworker on it, so they got a letter from the ICO saying it was being investigated, and then obviously this just, I didn't even know it's coming, just in my email got that they published this to the Freedom of Information as a reply, but the redactions to it would make Sussex Police blush. It's at the moment it's essentially useless. It's a shell of a document. It's just really all we know now is at least we can see there was the document because it took so long for them to even admit that the document existed. And it took going through a tribunal case, which Richard Ryan led for me when we went through to the first tier tribunal, and then it came out from one of the government lawyers accidentally let it slip that the important documents were on SharePoint. So I thought, well, they've got it just logically, you've just got to have done some kind of lessons learned document. So I asked for SharePoint to be specifically searched for that, which is something they should have done anyway. But once I asked, it then did come out. Oh, yeah, it does have lessons learned as a title as well. So I don't understand how they didn't find it in the first place, because I've used the right words for it to have been uncovered. So all we've really got is an introduction, a few bits and pieces. What it does tell me from looking at it, though, is this was prepared at the end. Well, we can see, for starters, the operation was done and dusted once, really, after the RAF had turned up. Then they saw the police try and close down the airport from sightings, with the RAF obviously saying there's nothing there. And then after that, really, the whole thing's been closed down. By the end of January, they were preparing the report. So it kind of says to me, there was nobody ever being looked for. There was no serious, we're going to find somebody for this thought, because otherwise you would keep the thing running and say, we did the investigation and we caught so-and-so at the end. And then here it is, the end of January 2019. And the whole thing's being wrapped up. The introduction uses everything that the official Sussex Police, when nobody ever made a mistake, there was a drone, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's going to, even if we get the unredacted version, which I'm confident we will, I still think it's not going to reveal that much, because I think, and to be fair, for whoever's done it at the DFT, you can't criticise them, because if you're being asked to do a wrap-up only 4 weeks after something's happened, you yourself have not even got time to go and do any digging and find out what all your staff thought individually, or what people in the Home Office thought, what people in the MOD really thought. So you would just be wrapping it up from what was believed to be the case then. So it's not to knock it for the fact of the conclusions at the time. I'm just disappointed this wasn't something that was done 6 and 9 months later, looking back, trying to really delve in and understand it, as we've seen of bits coming, from Freedom of Information. I suspect at the end of it, we'll paint a better picture than the document. But to be honest, we really won't know. I don't know if you could show some of the redactions, Gary, as you scroll up and down for like the core bits, like the conclusions.
On the other one.
I forget which is which now. But...
Yeah, on this one. Let's zoom it in a bit if I can. I don't know if it will. It's a bit weird.
Yeah. Assuming it. So if you scroll down to the pages, because this is where it gets funny. You've probably gone straight past it. It's one of the first few. That's the questionnaire they sent out. That's the only bit that isn't redacted.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Oh, there, you
Recommendations.
see that? No, see that?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
recommendation.
Roles and responsibilities, well-being. Now, 2.4, well-being is possibly the most important one because that probably speaks to the controversy of the sandwiches. Because that's the bit we all really want to know about. And for those that don't know, was it the police, Ian? That
Yeah, it was
the
the
police, wasn't it? They
yeah.
kicked up about the quality of the snacks. So that 2.4 is very important.
And that I reckon, just putting out there before we see it, I reckon the DFT would have had good sandwiches.
I reckon. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think they would have gone out. They'd have got the Greg's things. It'd been the proper spicy chicken things, the works.
Yeah.
Sausage rolls, you name it.
Yeah, we couldn't allow that horror to be repeated for sure.
No. Yeah. Lessons identified, approach, department redacted.
So basically, this is there's a good lesson here is to really organize your SharePoint and make sure that you keep your documents in check. I mean, surely that's lessons learned here.
Well, listening to the thing about what was I listening to today? It was another case of FOIA's. Oh, it was the prince. Is he still a prince? I don't know, and not the prince formerly known as Prince, but a government department has completely deleted their records on him when there were FOIAs. They completely deleted it, and the FOIA. And what made me smile to myself was that the chap doing the FOIAs was called vexatious on many occasions, and that was just dragged out in the FOIA sequence. So that whole vexatious thing's that's got to be reviewed, hasn't it? Because if someone sends 2 or 3 requests and then suddenly that's not on that anyway. So that amused me. So I think in some ways you might have got away a bit lightly. At least you got to the document, even though it doesn't say much. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So people know the ICO still got the case, and the ICO's already replied back and going back further questions. So I have pointed out already that this is essentially not what I've asked for, in that it's just the shell. At least it's nice that we can see it existed as we thought it did. But there's work to go yet.
Yeah. It's a template. It's a template.
It's a start.
Yeah. So I think.
And do we know what? Sorry, I'm talking over. Do you know what SS24 actually is? What is that?
Security.
Just that's national security.
Yeah. So that's a qualified exemption. So that means I can overturn that by making a good public interest case, and I've done an exceptionally good public interest case. So I'm confident if it went to tribunal and a judge saw it that we will get it. So it might not even go that far, but time will tell. If the ICO rule in my favour, we'll probably be looking at somewhere like 4 to 8 weeks. Then there'll be some back and fro with the DFT. If they don't, it will then go to tribunal, and it will probably be March, April, May before there'll be a judgment then.
Well done. Well done on getting that. It doesn't say, it might seem like much to the dear viewer, but it's
even
important.
Brendan gave you a big recommendation, didn't he, on X?
Yeah, I forget what he said now, but it was very nice.
Yeah, no, it's worth.
I think he used the word heroic, and I thought.
Well, he said balloon. I saw him say balloon. Yeah, he says heroic work continues. That's what he said.
Yeah. Well, you said the magic word balloon there, and Mick's already alluded to it. So it seems that airliner I used in the thumbnail for this one hit a weather balloon, which is quite interesting. And what I thought was very interesting about this was the very shabby looking setup for that weather balloon for a commercial service. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Bruce?
Well, something even more important here. We're all worried about this 250 gram limit. And a balloon is lighter than air, and it still made that much damage. So imagine how much damage 250 grams would produce. I'm sure someone will pick up on that. But yeah, they have a system where they advise air traffic that the balloons are in the vicinity, but apparently air traffic didn't pass that on or something. So it was just like remote ID doesn't work.
And Mick's mentioning ADSB, but they surely. Yeah, because the balloon would have just been climbing through 36,000 feet up to probably 70, 80,000 feet. I don't know what their operational altitude is. So that was, I don't know, so a little bit unlucky. But it's that big sky theory, isn't it? That there's nothing. How can you possibly hit anything?
But who would release a balloon so that it would cross an international air traffic lane? Surely you'd release it in a different place with the winds that there to try and avoid traveling up through an air traffic lane.
Yeah, absolutely. You just take it off somewhere suitable, wouldn't you? And just make that your launch location away from airways, so that you knew there was a jolly good chance it would be past the flight levels before it crossed any. It'll be very, very interesting if that dent on the airplane matches up. And the guy inside had glass. What do they call the people at the front of an airplane? I don't know. The
drivers, the airplane drivers.
The airplane drivers. That's right. There's one of them was injured, wasn't he, as well?
So cuts on his arm and everything.
Yeah,
I think that's where he spilled his screwdriver with all the tomato juice in it.
I think what happened was the outer from my understanding that there's 3 layers on the windscreen, and the first one, the outer one, shattered. The middle one did not shatter, but the inner one did actually shatter, and that's why because he got those cuts on it. But what is going to happen here? Is there going to be some blame? Is there going to be some, is someone going to get fined for this? Because this should not have happened. If this was a drone, right? If this was a drone, you can guarantee that this would have been making the headline. Now, of course, this has been making headlines, and we didn't know what it was. And it looks, when you look at the shape of that, and you look at the dent and where that is, it looks like the bottom of that sensor has hit the top of that window. And it looks, the shape of it there looks like it's been,
You raise a really good question, though, because obviously the balloon's been damaged, and isn't powered traffic supposed to give way to unpowered traffic?
Absolutely.
The airplane's in the wrong.
Exactly. The airplane flew into the balloon. It wasn't the other way around, precisely. But then you said, didn't it look a bit shabby, that antenna, that sort of commercial off the shelf, what looked like about 868, something like that, or 433 even, just hanging off the bottom. You'd think they would have made a wire antenna, and that solar panel, is that outside the bag or inside the bag? It just looks shabby. To me.
Well, they throw them away. It's not like they don't reuse them, so they want to make them as cheap as possible.
But these ones are orbiting. They're not orbiting. They're flying around the world. They're flying around the world for as long as possible to gather lots and lots of weather data. So they're not that's not a normal weather balloon radio sonde.
So why did it not have ADSB then?
Well, you wouldn't
not allowed to.
Well, once it goes I can't. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it used to be that above flight level 660, you switched off all that gear anyway because you don't need it. So it's going up into the 70, 80, 90,000 foot range. You wouldn't need it up there anyway.
Surely it should have had red, because that solves everything.
Should have red. Yeah, you're right. It should have had red.
That would have saved all that trouble.
It would.
Surely ADSB should have been active if it was where it was, because if it was going up, if it was traveling, it should have had ADSB, because it should have, it was obviously
given the small power though. Given that it's got a very low power budget, perhaps they couldn't afford to run ADSB. And I know from what I read in another story somewhere that the company that operates the balloons normally it tracks them because of it has a GPS on the balloon, and it has a telemetry downlink. It passes that information on to air traffic control if it's in an area where it could be compromising air traffic. But apparently something went wrong with that communication.
Well, that was a rather expensive error. That was a rather expensive error.
Let's see if they've got any airborne at the minute. No, these are normal weather balloons, but you'll normally see them on Sonde Hub. if they're there. I've seen them on here. I've seen them on Sondhub. Maybe they have put them on the amateur one.
Did you see the thing that the project Chris iForce 2D did with the balloon and a little tiny 2.4 gig transmitter and how far he got?
Yeah, I did.
That was good.
I did. Let's see if they put them on the ham version, because they are around the world ones. Let's see. Is that one there? I don't think so. Is there any around the world? Is there? There's around the world. Yokohama Helium. What was the name of the company again? Windborne. Let's see if there's any there with those sort of cool signs.
How did they come up with that name, eh?
Yeah, I wonder. But it was a good idea. It's a good idea for gathering weather data. I can't disagree with it.
So you can fly a balloon that's capable of smashing in the windscreen of an airliner beyond visual line of sight without remote ID.
You can, but let me show you what most of these look like, because they really they're called pico balloons. They're using the Whisper protocol for. I'm not going to quickly get a, but it's tiny. Here we are. This is what they look like. That's the whole thing, and they've got a little string of solar panels, and I think they use 14097, 20 meters, 14097, 83 milliwatt transmitter. So they're tiny. They're really tiny. The other thing,
the power budget is too low for ADSB.
Yeah, oh yeah, and look, can you see on the top of the screen? It's just one of those foil balloons. That's the whole some other thing. They fly a little bit lower than those things, but yeah.
But imagine that if that didn't hit the windscreen and it would have hit one of the engines.
They got spares.
Oh yeah.
I think it would have done some damage.
It did some damage.
Yeah. It did. It did a chunk of damage.
If that, a lot more damage if it would have hit the engine.
No. If that's what it was. If that's what it was. But
if that's what it was.
If that's what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was. Either that or it's a Mavic 5 Mini, because it has to be a drone, one or the other. So, and then in another story, let's jump over here. In further news, bonjour France. Guess what? There's $109,000, $110,000 for practical purposes, $109,863 counter drone system on display in France with French flags, made in France. Welcome, wonderful French technology was Chinese inside. Funny old thing. Yeah, imagine. I was shocked, absolutely shocked that sort of thing could have happened.
Does that mean
exactly.
that they won't be selling any in the US?
Well, maybe. My flabber was aghast when I saw that. Yeah, developed in France, but it's the story of the flipping industry at the minute, isn't it? It really is. People just reboxing Chinese stuff left, right, and center. And then for my last story bit, I have been told that the police are due to go live with a temporary danger area in the Coventry area for yet more drone in the box trials, and looking at the Altitude Angel map, because it's still there, people, if you want to use it. What I thought was interesting, look, that one is, oh no, that was a crane. That one's drone activity. That one, this one are like working drones. So if they get a big TDA here in Coventry very soon, I think that even was a drone. Yeah, it was. All that commercial work it's going to affect. And then where did I see some more? I saw some more down here somewhere. Yeah, there's some there, and there was a long line of it. Here we are. I was quite surprised just how much drone work there is on Altitude Angel. Let's hope we hear some news about that soon. I think we might. Let's hope it keeps going. But yeah, that's the end of the newsy bits I've got. Now, somebody tell me about this new FPV thing from what's it called, the Protoss or something like that. Go on.
You can't say it's the end of the newsy bits without mentioning the fact that the UK is thinking of shooting drones down.
Oh God, that as well. Oh yeah.
We could be here all evening with these guys. There's been so much going on. You just said that.
No, just
back in the green room.
no, it's just it's just that is just, do we have to talk about that?
What could go wrong?
It's bound to end well, isn't it?
Especially at airports. Especially if they're going to shoot them down around airports, that'll work out real good.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is it's kind of nuts. It's just nuts, isn't it? And what are they going to shoot? Because whilst bullets and stuff like that is bad news if you fire them at an airliner far away in the sky, because that bullet is going to come down somewhere. But just like the big sky thing, I suppose, that we just said, it's not as big as people think, so that bullet might hit somebody or something. And I think the US Marines demonstrated very nicely how weapons demonstrations can go wrong, firing live shells over the I-5 and them exploding. But so we park on the BBC comment section. I think SS News in the comment was removed. But that's because we've all been talking. What are the people called again? The standards, not standards, is it? The fact checker. The BBC fact checker.
Verify.
It might just be the fact that it's a link. Probably the best thing to do with that with the BBC. I was going to say was take a picture and attach that, but I bet
they can't do that.
If it's Facebook, they'll have pictures disabled, won't they? So it'll just be the fact that you put a link rather than it being the SUAS news story, I imagine, in truth.
Well, they Googled Barry's name and that was the end of it.
I imagine facts coming through the BBC anyway, because it's just, facts.
It's pretty bad. Let's just reverse back to the shooting down and stuff. So what I was trying to go in there was saying kinetics is one thing, but counter drone guns and RF firing, that I have a hunch has a kind of as much, if not greater, potential for causing mayhem around the place.
It does.
It specifically said. Just jump 1 second. If you jump back in, Stephen, I'm just going to say it does say as well GPS for jamming.
Yeah.
Did you see that story that the BBC ran today on the best way to bring down drones? What is it called? It was what's the best way to destroy or detect and destroy drones? And a quote from that I put on X was, crucially, a traffic management system is urgently needed involving electronic license plates for each drone device and a way for users to register the flight in advance. And that worked so well in New York and New Jersey, didn't it?
Well, the funny thing is there, what you found. Well, I'll come back to it in a minute, Bruce, but let's Stephen go first, because I spoke over him before, and then I'll jump back.
No. So I was just going to say that, when you have, if you're going to jam, so whether you're going to have, radio, or whether you're going to have GNSS, it will affect lots of different devices within that radius. And of course, we've had this. I've had personal experience of being jammed where the drones that we were flying got jammed. But there was also TV cameras, live TV cameras. There was Wi-Fi. There was LED screen. There was many things that were knocked out. So drones, yes, you're going to attack drones, but you're also going to hit your infrastructure as well around, which of course is not going to help. So these jamming devices, it's not as straightforward as we can bring down a drone, but you want to take out a lot of other things. And if this is at airports, you could possibly even take out radar, which again is becoming a safety issue. So you don't want that to affect manned aviation if they're coming in. If you knock something out. So it's not that simple.
Gary, to leave this page on, this is important. You've stumbled across something here, Bruce. You probably wouldn't have even realised when you're looking at this. This is the same journalist that was one of those involved early on in the Danish thing, that before the BBC broadcast the video. Oh, we haven't even discussed that on this either.
No.
There's a video that went out that said, "Oh, this is a drone. It's 9.2 kilometers away. There's no way it's a drone. It's going to be the helicopter." Worse still, it said it was over at Aalborg Airport, and then it turns out it wasn't. It was film pointing to the West. So the BBC views something that's neither a drone and neither the airport. But prior to that going on air, that's one of the journalists who's based in Denmark, I believe, and I tagged her and said, will you? I said, in Denmark already they're making provable mistakes that could be confirmed with ADSB. Can you please ensure that future reports with the BBC sort of consider this? And obviously we didn't see anything after that improved. So she is mentioned in, I think, although the tweet at least to flag it is mentioned in the complaint to the BBC. So I've made a complaint to the BBC, and a number of commercial ops have as well. So there's a few in there, and hopefully I can find out how to get that all the way to Ofcom, because I don't think they'll probably acknowledge it. But you can see here now, even though she's been asked, it's all nice and it's polite. It's like, we just look, if you're living in the country, you'll be able to see TV2 and all the Danish publications saying, look, this is aircraft, mistakes are being made. And so as a journalist, when you're doing your follow-on stories, you should be able to at least acknowledge that. And this doesn't. So it's not digging as much into doing the drone narrative as they were a few weeks ago. But this seems to be almost a bit doubling down. Well, I'll find some story from somebody. And again, it's someone that's trying to flog gear. And when he's here talking about 80 to 90% of drones, that to me says our system only affects DJI. That's code word there that's saying. So essentially, it is no good. And again, that's giving the impression that these imaginary Russian drones, i.e., there isn't anything there, but it's trying to give the reader the impression that there was a problem there with drones and that this could defeat it. And it's like, no, you can't defeat something that isn't there. And that's the issue that everyone that knows anything about drones really and isn't trying to flog something would tell you. So that's just the frustration. It feels again like a BBC report's trying to keep the narrative going that they'd already stuck to, rather than just stepping back a little bit and looking at the other facts and saying, well, while we're here, the realization has come to light from.
You shouldn't be so skeptical, Ian, because you're saying that they couldn't defeat something that wasn't there. But didn't we just find that they found a document that never existed?
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true. You saw it. Yes. Exactly right. But look, this speaks to what we started talking about. It says radio frequency jamming works, but who gives permission to fire RF off willy-nilly? Ofcom and various, they'll be jumping up and down, whatever the Danish radio regulatory authority is. Nobody has permission. I know it's not a bullet, but nobody has permission to fire RF around like this.
The point with this as well is no one's properly done the safety analysis, because as I mentioned, I'm sure I've mentioned it before, there is a document out. I don't know who had originally done or why this was done, but obviously there's been a study done in the US, and they found there was at least in just 1 year 50 instances that they could show where RF interference that was not deliberate, just from normal Wi-Fi devices, so innocently put in hospitals, had caused equipment to malfunction, and where there'd even been deaths. So if you've got something that isn't pumping out a lot and isn't trying to break things, and then you've got a device that's literally pumping out
trying to break things
with the purpose to break things, I think there would be consequences. And it's like, has anyone ever checked for that? And I don't think they haven't. That's the kind of thing that should be being done. We're just handing these things out. We're allowing all this paranoia, and again, even the shooting. It smacks of paranoia and being unnecessary. And having seen what we'd uncovered in Denmark, and then the Danish TV network then stole with no credit to anyone that had helped find it, was the fact that it genuinely looks like the military shot at an airline. And what's interesting with that, actually, though, in credit
Jens.
Yeah, I was going to say credit to the TV company that accidentally picked up the story. They did go out and ask the witnesses, and they said, "What do you see?" And they said, "Well, it had red, green, and a white light, and it's like, really? You mean like an aeroplane? So yeah. So
well, their key advantage there, though, Ian, was they lived in Denmark and we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
otherwise they'd pop round and asked. But yeah, but it was nice that, you know, again, I saw that written down, because you know what, when they're asking the questions and why they're putting it down in the print of what's being said. And then they did ask the Danish military, and if you were, although militaries don't like to confirm or deny stuff, if you're getting a serious accusation of one of your soldiers appears to have shot an airliner, I still would have expected most militaries to at least said, if they hadn't, to go, no, absolutely, we did not. And here it was no comment. And to me, that smacks of we did. Oh, we don't know whether we did or we didn't.
But surely the local CAA, surely the Danish CAA should have really stepped in there, because they must have had, or there must have been something from, for example, SAS, the local flights there, who would not have been happy that that someone would be possibly actually shooting at aircraft, and that's a safety issue.
That picture we saw earlier of the airliner, was that buckshot that hit the windscreen, perhaps?
Yeah, there you go.
Travels a long way, those rounds.
Well, yeah, you'd think there would be an investigation in it, because if you can shut an airport down with a telephone call and some here say that there's a drone and somebody else is saying that someone's firing in the air, you'd think you'd at least investigate it, wouldn't you? I mean, it could have just been firing. It could be firing horizontally, normal day at the range, and people just heard the bangs, and it happened to be at the same time. So there is no evidence of that.
I think if that was common, they wouldn't even be reporting it. If you were used to hearing the firing, you wouldn't even think it was a thing. It happened every day. So,
but if you've joined, look, there's a drone flying. Now there's shots. No, I can join the dots with how that might have escalated into they tried to shoot it down.
But then again, if that was the case, the military would have still said no, we didn't do it.
Yeah, might have just been compressor stall. Wasn't a gun at all. Just compressor stall on the takeoff. Happens.
They make a good point there, Stephen. You got me thinking now that journalists in Denmark should definitely be doing their freedom of information or asking the press department at their CAA. In fact, Assurance News could be asking their press department, couldn't they, as well, Gary?
All right, I'm starting.
We should set the little terrier on him. That little terrier over there. That one.
Danish freedom. It'll all be in really good English, won't it?
Yeah. You don't need to do freedom of information yet, Gary. I'll jump in and do it first. We'll just ask the press department straight off. Have you done out, and see what they say, and then at least that gives an indication. And then if it comes to freedom of information, that maybe just try and give a nudge to a journalist over there to pick it up, because it'd be a good little story for them.
Or would someone from manned aviation have done have done like an ECARS report? So there would be a report. Yeah. So
like an incident report.
Yeah.
I know the press actually did reach out to the airline, and said, "Do you know this has potentially happened?" And so I'm sure they would have been quite startled and not realised.
And now I'm looking for I'll do that in a minute. But Denmark's got great in English freedom of information stuff. So that would be interesting to put a freedom of information request in to see has any evidence popped up yet, any solid physical hard evidence popped up that anything happened. And I was on the thing I was interviewed, I think I said last week, I said if there was something there, the military would have done something about it, because they had all the radars looking that way. If there was genuinely something there, something would have been done. Nothing was done. To me, that means there's nothing there. Maybe it's too simplistic.
Yeah, I should add,
if you can't find anything, ask them to look behind the SharePoint.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. so something that's rendered with a pleasant green table filling.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, as a final point on this, I thought was possibly interesting. I just thought it was an unusual omission, unless we're right, which we probably are. The defence minister, who was, he had I think it was a dinner or something that had gone on last night, where it was announced about the shooting down. He specifically did an introduction, so he's mentioning about Russia, and mentioned Ukraine, mentioned Poland, and finished at that. I moved on to other things we should have done. So he didn't mention Denmark, and I thought maybe that isn't an accident, and we know, our own military themselves know that they're making a mistake. I thought we're not going to cite that because it's definitely not Russia. They're just having a panic over note.
He probably has that guy in the room next door to him. He's got an earpiece and he's going, "Whatever you do not say Denmark. Whatever you do not say Denmark." And then at the end of it, he's just going,
yeah, be something like that. Be something like, I'm sure. Now, someone tell me, Bruce in particular, because have you got one? I've forgotten the name of that new little FPV.
The Proton, whatever it is. I forget what it's called. I've seen a couple of reviews. They didn't send me one. I'm not surprised, but it's interesting. It probably doesn't do a walk snail much good because it seems to be eroding their main FPV line, leaving people concerned that they're going to drop that, or maybe they won't. It's just a little tiny drone with HD FPV on it. I don't see it being a groundbreaker. It's not as good as the little Neo and things. It doesn't seem to have a GPS or anything on it. It's just a little tiny whoop. And the only benefit being you can take it out of the box, and after reading the long manual, you can make it fly, but it doesn't fly that well.
And 100 grams, so it's going to slide under the regulations in a few places now.
But that's still 2 years off, though, isn't it? In the UK.
Well,
is it 2 years?
Did you say reading the manual?
Well, you get the wife to do it. Men don't read manuals.
Yeah, okay.
No, real men. That's a T-shirt. Why haven't I seen that T-shirt? Real men don't read manuals. I've seen that too.
Given that there's been nothing new really come out in the FPV market for quite some time now, I guess it is sort of something that people will get a little bit excited about. But it's reasonably priced as well, for something that's got HD video in it, but it's only 150, 200 meters of range on the video. It's a very low power system. So it's something that people will probably, it's so sort of toy-like that it's expensive. It appears to be expensive for a toy, but when you look at it technically, you get quite a bit for your money, but there's no easy progression path. There's no other stuff you can buy that works with the goggles or works easily with the transmitter. Yeah. So it's like it's those turnkey systems. You buy them, use them, and then throw them away or give them to someone else and then rebuy everything for your next one. So in the longer term, it's not that cheap. And looking at the drone itself, I think the little DJI Neo is probably a better little drone, although that's over the 100 grams.
I'm looking. I think Ian might be right in suggesting that the drone NOTAM for Coventry TDA. There it is. There, right? Let us.
So it looks like it's been active for.
I see it. I see it there now. I see it. I can't have had the right sliders selected on the thing, which is not unusual for me. There it is. So if you're in that area of Coventry, let's get rid of that bit. If you're doing that, if you're doing that operation there, bad luck, old boy. Unless they've approved it, I guess. But that is another police. Now, I was told that Birmingham was getting one. And somewhere over in the east of England. What's that big town over here? Norwich. They're going to have several, isn't it there? No, laser display. No. Well, what's this here? Oh, BV loss. Oh, look at this. That's an interesting bit of airspace, isn't it? That's quite a deal of airspace, that is. Monday, that's what open right now.
It's open until Friday.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that this is the first time I've ever seen a Venn diagram used for something practical.
Yeah,
Them in
it's
school, never use them.
yeah. Well, there we are. Good old Altitude Angel showing us the way as ever. I truly hope that something very positive happens there.
Are there more than one system in the UK for this? I know in the USA there's a couple of systems, I think, but in the UK, is this the only? This is the Drone Aware app or something? Is it? Is this the only one that they can use to see where there's exclusions and restricted areas?
Yeah, I think there are others that pull stuff
Okay.
from places, and some have stood up recently. Are there ground obstacles still there? Is that a flight report? That's a very tiny flight report, isn't it, for drones? But anyway, there we are. All right, so that's there. The UK industry is not jumping up and down and shouting about this sudden airspace closures, because that is an airspace closure. And under what regulations? Because they're flying as state aircraft. So I wonder what risk assessment has been done for flying all over all of those people. I don't know.
Well, it says danger. These people should see them. Hard hats on or something.
Thank goodness you're here to come with your practical responses. But of course, your wisdom is well received. Dear me. I think that is about. Sticky drones. This is the only single map preference for everything. Yeah, that is the thing, Simon. It is.
So if they turned it off, how on earth would the drone community know where they couldn't?
There we are. They've just rolled out this big VLOS thing, and one of the things today, and one of the things it said was it needs a UTM. well.
So can are they going to put up another tender to see who gets that, which will take how long, and then it has to be implemented? They have to agree it all, which would take 2 to 3 years at least.
Well, I think the problem is they're not actually agreeing to any particular vendor, which I can understand. I can see why you'd do that, but it doesn't make it very tempting for any vendor to particularly be there and be there. Choice.
Sure, but it has to go to tender, surely. It has to go to tender.
Well, they had the use of, but the CAA had the use of Altitude Angel for free for all these years. They didn't pay anything for Altitude Angel to be there. They didn't contribute anything to Altitude Angel being there. And then they're saying, "Oh, but we've just lost a very handy safety system." Well, quelle surprise!
I think that was also what happened in Portugal. The Altitude Angel was actually there, and it went to tender. And I think that the Altitude Angel system in Portugal is being removed once the new vendor goes in, which I heard it was Astra. I think it was Astra.
Okay. Yeah.
Which so I think it it should go to every other country. It goes to tender, and I cannot see the UK being different.
No, for sure. But nobody else. Yes, Sticky says the majority of UK ops manuals referring to AA. They're all wrong now. Well, let's hope that they come back.
I do think though that is a bit of a mistake with the manual. I wouldn't name apps, or if I did, I would say use apps such as, and then you've always got an ops manual that's not tied in. So I do think there's a lessons learned there.
Lessons learned.
Yes, lessons learned.
But we had a similar, we had a similar problem here in Finland where we had an application which wasn't, let's say, it wasn't being used by the government, but the government was using it. If you know what I mean. So it was like Altitude Angel. It was free, and the entire unmanned community, even the manned community, were also using it as well. But the unmanned community were using it. The tender went out a couple of years ago, and it was Astra who won it again. You have reported this, Gary, I'm sure, but it just went live here in Finland about 7 months ago, and everybody just went, nope, because we're also using this application now, but it's not the official one. So now the Finnish government is going crazy trying to get people to use this app, use the UTM, but nobody wants to use it because they've already been using the other one, which was free in a sense. So so it's so even if it goes to tender, you still can't force people to use it.
Now those drug marketing techniques, first taste is free.
that's Richard all the way, isn't it? It is a madness. It is a madness that that was allowed to happen, and one day maybe the full history or story of that will come out, probably via freedom of information request. But they won't, will it? Because it's a company.
I did ask Richard. I said about you need to come on the show at some future date and let us know the gossip.
Yeah,
he'll probably write a book and make money out of it.
We must have a 2-hour special for that, Gary.
Well, I do want to know. Our specials are like 5 hours, aren't they? Well, I do know of another book. I know,
and not that special, really, are they?
No, they're not that special. there is a book coming on other matters to do with the CAA, and I'm not at liberty to say, I suppose. But I know of at least one book that might be in all the best online digital bookstores around about Christmas time. It's not really a stocking filler, is it? If it's a digital book, but I believe that's on its way. But it's not the Beano or Dandy either, like I used to get. It won't be anyway.
I used to love those. They were fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think I've run out of stuff to waffle on about. Is there any more? Oh, go on. Go ahead then. After you.
Did you see a piece of Chinese rocket fell in Australia, landed on a road? This falling space junk thing's getting a bit out of hand, isn't it? It's really got to be a worry. I mean, we're seeing more incidents of falling space junk than drone incidents. And now that Elon Musk has put his 10,000th satellite up and he's not even halfway there, you got to wonder what's going to happen in the next 10 years in terms of how safe we're going to be without our hard hats on. Maybe it'll become compulsory. The work and health and safety people will demand it.
But that'll be the easiest way around the problem, won't it? It'll be easier to sell hard hats than it will to make space safety.
Yeah, pragmatism. Pragmatic solutions.
All those Chinese drones that you have to have remote ID. Why not have rockets with remote ID so you can make sure you get out of the way if they're going to fall out of the sky?
I'm just waiting for a rocket to hit a balloon. That's got to be the end, doesn't it?
And again, the balloon will have been in the right.
Yeah, because it's not powered. Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't know if I mentioned last week about my equivalent of a FOIA request to our council regarding who their drone pilot or what their drone pilot's qualifications are.
Yes.
Yes. But that they've failed that. They've gone over time. They haven't answered my question. So I've passed it on to the Ombudsman, who's responded to me and said that we'll be appointing a manager to your case soon. So I'm going to have to drag him across the rough cobbles to get that information out of them. And I think I know why that is, because the flights that they put up were within 4 kilometres of an airfield. They need to have wings or some other certification. And I'm about 99.5% sure that the person who flew the drone doesn't have the necessary qualification while acting as an employee of the council. And it's not a good look for them. So they just try and dodge the bullet of the OAI and fob me off with ridiculous responses. So it could be exciting.
And did that make that a commercial flight then? Or
It doesn't matter in New Zealand. There's no distinction between commercial and non-commercial. Yeah. But speaking of that, the Civil Aviation Authority has a survey out at the moment, and it is the Have Your Say, Help Shape the Future of New Zealand Aviation Rules. And because they say, we are starting work to update civil aviation rules. Gosh, yeah, like the drone rules are only like 10 years out of date, and they're just going to start work on that. And so if you're in New Zealand, you want to respond to that, I think there's probably a link on their website somewhere. I got it by email. But it's got this... it's funny, looking at the dialogue boxes, the little boxes where you got to type text, it says, what is your biggest frustration or barrier with the current rules? And it's got a tiny little box. And then it says, what rules or part of rules are currently working well and why? And it's got this big box. And then it's got what opportunity. Anyway, it's just obviously trying to make a feel good thing. If they meant any of these questions, they would have asked them a long time ago. But I responded honestly and openly with as few swear words as I could.
I'm going to say, with you doing that, Bruce, we just need Stephen to do a freedom of information, then we can change the channel to FOIA News.
FOIA News.
FOI News. I was just going to say that. FOI news.
It's very dull and boring for us, but it's quite important, I think.
But you can have some great catch lines. If you've got things you want to know, we'll ask for you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. What's me saying? Starlink satellite is designed to have a maximum of 3 km parts when falling back to Earth, 5 times over the sun. Oh, really? Gosh.
But the problem is that you see the reports. They're saying that it's as they burn up, they release particles into the ionosphere that is causing all sorts of problems with the ozone layer. It's actually depleting the ozone layer, so they're actually damaging the ozone layer just as much as Freon did in the 70s.
I wonder if you could get like lift conditions over a brief part of the sky as they burn up. I wonder if it's affecting. If it's I wonder.
For radio relay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get ready.
There'll be so much powdered or particles
of metal in the ionosphere.
The whole thing will be. We'll have a Dyson sphere.
A huge Faraday cage.
Exactly, a Faraday cage. And our radio telescopes will be worthless except for peering through the neighbour's window.
Quite so. And no more satellite TV. You just won't be able to get up there anymore.
Well, you won't need the satellite. Just bounce the signal straight up and down again.
Straight off. Just choose your angle for where it's going.
Exactly. Yeah. But all those space probes going to Mars and other planets can't touch them anymore.
They're radio silent. Yeah. Well, then you'd be the man to develop
Windows.
The whole. Yeah, exactly. Big pair of these things up on a big ladder.
Yeah.
Gosh, yes. Sorry about that. I'm just musing the idea of lots and lots and lots of bits of metal dust in space. God, that's pretty horrific, isn't it?
Do you know what all our viewers are thinking right now? Why couldn't the internet go down now? Why do we have to put up with this sort of stuff?
and it's going well tonight. I haven't had one single interruption. So you've got.
So you don't use Amazon then?
No,
because AWS went down and took a third of the internet with it. That was interesting. Did your digital ID still work? No.
Oh no! Funnily enough, there was quite a lot of our government services over here went down. So it would be if we had the digital ID thing, we would have lost access to it in likelihood. Oh, and that reminds me as well. There's been a big story. I'll just before we do that, Louis asking you a question in the chat, Bruce.
About the situation of the airfield. It's long and grey with green on each side. Unsure at this stage. We don't have a new mayor, which is a pain, but there are other plots in place. So I hopefully will know in a few weeks exactly what's going to happen at the airfield. So fingers are still crossed. Makes it hard to type, but No, it'd be good. It'd be really good. Go on, Ian. What's one? Make it last 7 minutes.
I was going to say, in that time of Bruce talking, I've gone and forgot what I was going to say, but it was a really big story. Wasn't
that you've got dementia, was it?
Today the Alzheimer's Weekly.
This is why normally it'll look like I'm being rude and I'll talk over people. It's not that I'm being rude, it's because I know that if I don't say what's in my head,
I'm the same. You forget in 5 seconds later. Yeah. And because Gary doesn't remember anything either.
Nope. Who are you? Yeah, exactly. No.
Well, I'll have a quick look down my Twitter timeline to see if it reminds me. But it was something really significant.
I have a little piece of paper and I write down the things that I would forget otherwise during the thing.
Yeah, right. That's what I need.
But I still talk over people because it's only rude not to.
Quite so. Here comes Gatwick, says no, we've done Gatwick, Louis. You missed that, mate. In fact, Louis, can you tell me when have you finished downloading those videos yet? So I can have a go, please, Louis. You know what I'm talking about, Louis.
The hub, Louis, the hub.
Oh, the hub, yeah, that's right. He's using all of Wales's internet at the moment to get hold of some videos. And because I particularly want to see the cooperative lift one. That's the one I want to get sorted and talk about. Let's chat after. Yeah, okay. He is using all of Wales's internet too. It's only been 2 weeks or whatever it is. Now that's the videos from the RG Pilot conference, and the one on cooperative lift is, in my opinion, is the absolute winner. So I want to see that one. Have you remembered, Ian?
I haven't. It's terrible. It has completely gone out of my mind. I've got distracted because we've had obviously the shooty gun thing in the last few days, which is quite a big story in itself. But there's something else that was equally as big, if not bigger. And
was it the fact they released that camera in platinum as well as black?
Was there some sort of camera thing? Yeah.
No, it's not any camera stuff. Obviously, the camera I've got, they have just, as Bruce mentioned, the S9, a limited edition Europe titanium finish, which is very pretty. But I can't just buy a camera for just a titanium finish. I am not that sad.
They could make a version, especially for taking pictures of drones, that they just smear Vaseline on the lens.
Yeah. Make everything look like a round light and say it's a drone, because that's what we're getting.
God, that's terrible. Right, this is getting us nowhere.
For a couple of minutes to keep it going, to give me time to do a recovery.
There'll be no seeing us. Make it up, Ian. 5 viewers, believe you. 5? Goodness me, the numbers have gone up.
Well, you did say there'd be a big audience tonight. You were right.
You did. He was right.
So we've got DFT, CAA, or maybe there's a personal assistance on each side and a stranger.
Yes, the various ones we are upset. We've upset a lot of people this week. But there is no more. Actually, it is actually more than usual. I think more angry.
I think that pretty much constitutes a good week when you start upsetting people. I think if you have upset people, you know you've had a good week.
Well, I don't know. I don't set out to upset people, but
no. We don't set out to upset people. I mean, we've spent the past week, we've been talking with journalists and all the rest of it, and we've been setting the record straight with everyone, and that must make a lot of people unhappy. That which is only a good thing.
On that topic of making people unhappy, though, it was funny on LinkedIn today when somebody at the drone industry that probably hasn't paid any attention to anything that's gone on in the drone industry for years thinks it would be a good idea. Was it somewhere? Also South Africa, wasn't he, as well?
Oh, yeah, no, I got the wrong one, but I was just angry. I thought, shut up about Gatwick.
Yeah, he did a post about the Gatwick drone, and he even confused it because he used the Nats video for years before Gatwick, but then was mentioning Gatwick 2018, and straight away people were jumping on it going, no, there was no drone there. And by the end of it all, he changed his post and going, sorry, I didn't realise there was no drone. But I just thought it was funny that just creeped out of the woodwork, and then everyone just jumped on him all at once.
Well, he'd actually asked me for help to promote some stuff recently, and I thought, you cheeky sod, you've asked me for some help, and now what you're doing, you're posting a Gatwick thing. So I got annoyed quick. So it's kind of, I shouldn't have done that, but I did. But there we are. Now look on that bombshell, because you haven't remembered, have you?
I haven't.
You have not.
You have not remembered. He's going to send them what's happened about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's going to send them what's happened about 10 minutes and say, yeah, that's what it was.
But do you know, we've nearly wasted on 7 minutes of him not knowing.
But this is a good marketing thing, Gary, because now if you want to know what Ian forgot, tune in next week. And he'll remember. Cliffhanger ending. Everybody loves those.
Well, what are the chances that he'll remember, or he'll remember and he'll forget? Or how many times will he remember and forget between here and next week? Yeah, tune in next week. So on that note, dear viewers, any more, chaps? Going once, going twice. Wherever you are in the world, look after yourselves. Have a lovely week. We'll see you again at 2100 Gin and Tonic next Tuesday or Wednesday, if you're Bruce. And we'll find out what was it that Ian was so upset about. Cheers all. Take care. Bye-bye.